Hi everyone, Soul17 here. Let me get through this like usual. And I own the picture, made the thumbnail. This is an unpaid video. So, took me a while to actually come up with this part. Because of a lot of stuff just kept on happening throughout my week. Since the last time I made a video. Just... and then I was relaxing during the night when I could have made it, and I just kept on forgetting. And also trying to come up with what I could do in this part. So, I have a lot of stuff I want to get done with it, so let's just get through this like normal. Just get started. I'm sorry for no Halloween special or whatever. I'm just going to make Jason Deku, which I'm probably going to do. So, yeah. Anyways, let's just get this thing rolling. So, okay, for a minute I thought I was going to have to pause my video. Alright, so like I said, let's just get the thing rolling, because this is... What if I was basically, was in danmachi? I was about to say isekai too. Technically, in a sense, yes. Just let me say some things. The world's gonna get a lot more dangerous now. I realize there's a consequences to this action of me being in danmachi. If you really think about it. So... yeah, let's go. This is part 7. So, last time we left off is, some things happened. Basically, I remember what, Hephaestus told me off. Hold up, let me just double check something. Okay, yeah, no, I was right. So as Hephaestus basically told me off, she put some runes on my weapon, and, well, the runes are basically to help the sword keep on getting stronger. Basically, the more, my stats go up. Yeah, reasons why. You'll find out. Anyways, let's continue on. Oh, and, Hestia is going to basically do something. Yeah, interesting little event for her. So, let's get this thing started now. Because we're starting off where, basically, I would be fighting monsters, and Belle would be coming to the dungeon, but let's, get into the part where this happens. Because we're starting off with Hestia. As, basically, Otar is basically telling Freya about, what's going to happen with Belle. She basically then gets a sudden, Otar gets a sudden, knock at the door, which Freya would look at, Otar, and he opens it, as then someone from the Freya family would tell, Freya, that there's someone here for her. Well, she asks, who is it? Basically, the person would then say, it's basically Goddess Hestia, which she'll raise up an eyebrow, and then she basically would tell this person to, tell her to wait, to wait for her, which they will nod. So, after they leave, Otar says, I do not know why, Goddess Hestia is here. Do you, Goddess Freya? Which she'll not know. But she'll say, but I am curious of what it is. Let's see. So, she would probably, choose a different, go into a different outfit, and then would come down, and we'll see Hestia waiting in, let's say, since what I can probably get at is probably in a different room. She'll come down, go into the waiting area where people would usually have a, talk with Freya for any business. In which Freya just be like, well, my, Hestia, I never thought you would actually ever come to see me. Which she goes, hi, Freya. Which Otar will stand near the door after it closes, which she'll ask Hestia after she sits down, do you want anything to drink? She would, just nod, saying, tea would be nice. Which she'll look at Otar, Otar nods and goes, gets it. So, a couple minutes of silence happens, and then Freya asks, I'm not trying to be rude here, Hestia, but to my very surprise, you come in here of all places and talking to me gets me quite a little bit curious. What is it that you're here for? To ask me for some favors, for some help? Which basically Hestia immediately put up both her hands and start waving them, saying no, no, no. Which basically she'll be, just hesitant to tell Freya, which Freya's like, Hestia, come on, you can tell me. She just sighs and just says, I need advice. Which basically that makes Freya blink. And then she goes, I'm sorry, Hestia, it's just advice on basically how to get, someone's attention. Which she goes, no, I mean, you have such a big familiar like Loki and most of the gods and goddesses, unlike me, but how do you... I just need advice on how to have someone open up to me. Which, basically, this would be quite surprising, which Freya will just tell her she needs to think about it. So, basically, after when Otar comes back, probably like a good 15 minutes later, he comes back and gives the tea, which basically Freya would take a sip of it and put the cup down as Hestia would, hold her cup after she takes a sip and goes, well, if it's advice how to get someone to open up to you, I would say try to do something nice to them, showing that you care. And, just be there for them whenever they need you. Which basically Hestia goes like, I know, but I meant like someone that's, how should I say, very distant. Even though they talk to you and your other familiar member, they just won't basically say everything. You can tell there's hiding something. Which basically Freya would probably think of Belle. To be fair, she doesn't really know about basically, what's going on with basically Hestia and me. So she goes, oh, really? I thought basically your favorite child, basically Belle Cornell, told you everything. After all, I thought you two would have. As basically Hestia would just sigh, and she goes, I wish it was that. Well, I wish it was him. Which basically just would make her blink. And then basically her eyes lit up. She goes, it's your... Yes, my other one. Sol Kurosaki. He tells me basically only a few things about his day, and then he'll just keep everything else a secret. And he talks about his past, but there's only very little he will talk about. He won't go into any details. Which... Basically, Freya is just blinking, and then she goes, really? Tell me about him. I mean, I heard so much about Belle Cornell. Well, from basically anyone that basically you knew, you basically talk about them from the other gods and goddesses. Which, basically, Freya just smirks, which she thinks basically Hestia will blush at this, but in this moment, she's not. Normally she probably would. And then basically Hestia just sighs for like, I can only say so little. I mean, he can be kind. Sometimes, basically, also by the way, I want to point this out, this is basically their interactions when I basically am, saying like day by day skips and also the interactions when I talk to them and such. So, whenever I, say a couple of days later, I've talked to them, I interacted with them, so this is where her point of view is coming. Alright, okay, so basically, as I was saying, she was saying he can be kind at times, strict sometimes with Belle, especially on how, reckless he could be, at least some moments. Which basically Freya will, just have a smirk and basically Hestia will then say, he's very basically dependent, also very determined, sometimes a little bit too determined. Basically, she, will put down her cup and basically just start, looking at it, which Freya would kind of be curious. She goes, he's basically stubborn. He basically can sometimes be not arrogant or something, but he basically puts too much pressure on himself. Always seems like he's thinking negative about him. basically going a little bit on about it, about saying negative, basically angry with himself. And then basically, she will probably just say, finally, then, and I honestly don't understand why he basically just constantly, constantly keeps a distance away from anyone. Which, basically, when Freya, hearing this, for some reason, basically, for her interactions as Seal, she never really saw that much. She basically knew about it a little bit. Basically how I fought myself as a, monster or such. Because of what I had to do to the three adventurers, because of what they were had to do to Lily. But I never really, basically, show, basically, be kind, she knew that and stuff, but never this other stuff, which, for some reason, when Hestia is seeing basically Freya, she basically looks at, Hestia's looking at Freya, which she's seeing her eye twitch a bit. She goes, Freya? Your eye's twitching. She goes, wait, really? I didn't know. I guess that just sounds like an irritating person to me. Which basically Hestia goes, he means all well and good, I just think he doesn't want to talk about much. It's kind of a strange thing. I have one person who basically likes to be talkative and tell them about everything, then another who's distant, keeps you at arm's length. And I think she would kind of whisper basically this to herself, but Freya Otar hears it. Doesn't trust people so easily. Which, basically after Freya hears that, that kind of a little bit shock mentally for her. Otar can probably understand. But she basically, Freya would just say, oh, please tell me, Hestia. Do you know anything about it? Which Hestia would say no, pretty quickly. But Freya would sort of basically, see right through it. Use her a little bit of her charm magic on her. Which Freya would say, now, Hestia, you do know something, so please tell me. Which, what would happen is very simple. I don't think it will work on any god, but since charm magic has worked on, it can probably work on, humans very easily, why not also basically gods a bit? So, it depends on the level of strength of a god and such and all that. But technically with this, since the powers are sealed, it should be able to still work, as basically Hestia is about to say something, about to say it, but then that instant of that promise came, hold up. Okay. So as I was saying, as Hestia remembering that memory of me, ask her not to tell no one about this, and she promised, she'll break out of it and basically would say nothing. He didn't tell me nothing about his past. Which basically she would see Freya a little bit shocked, and then she would kind of realize Freya would, use her charm ability on her, which Hestia is angry at Freya, as Freya goes like, he means that much to you. Again, basically a little bit more, a different tone to her. Which Hestia was like, huh? What do you mean? Which she kind of just says, well, whatever basically that gave you those strong feelings to resist whatever, well, my charm was strong enough to break it. So that means he means a lot to you. And here I thought you had you had some feelings towards Belle, but, maybe it's something else. Maybe basically there's something about him that you just have to basically keep a secret. Which Hestia would kind of basically, flinch a bit, which Freya would just decide to tell her, which basically she goes, don't worry, I'm not going to try to look into it because I already know. Which Hestia's like, wait, what? How do you know? She basically says, Uranus. He asked me to keep an eye on the boy. And basically to have some people to spy on him when he's in the dungeons. To be fair, it's for the safety of basically everyone here in the city. Which Hestia would, shock going down and basically slowly nod. Which basically she just sighs. I'm like, I'm not gonna try to basically say he's a monster or so, but I do have knowledge of basically further of what he, well, we could say what he's became or is. He's he's in a real quite basically situation where no human can ever survive. So I guess this is why he can't trust no one. The reason why he's just being cold or distant, he may seem like it. I wouldn't basically say he doesn't trust you. It's just he doesn't want to basically talk much about anything. Since, well, he doesn't know if he'll go crazy one day and lose himself. So don't worry about it, Hestia. Besides, maybe buy something for him. Something to help him? But she goes, but I can't. I'm just a useless goddess to him. The only thing I can give is... Basically, she kind of, stops and doesn't say it, which Freya would kind of just basically eyes blink for a minute, and then she goes, wait, I know basically about the Souls-like games, and there was one where, well, technically also with the information basically, not Uranus, but Uranus basically got, is it a Revenant? Because I remember correctly, I did have her basically gain all the information of what what powers I have, so, So technically she would nod, and she would just sigh and goes, well, you don't have to be buying him something like equipment-wise or anything. You can buy him something like, I don't know, anything. Do you know what he likes? Which, basically, she would not know. Hestia would, after she thought about it. And then, basically, Freya would just sigh and be like, seems he truly is keeping things hidden from him. Well, from everyone, I mean. Buy him a sketchbook, something to draw in. Maybe that will be something. Maybe it actually help him. Basically, though, after she says that, Freya will take her drink and, take a sip of it, as then Hestia will look at Freya like, yeah, that may work. Thanks, Freya. She goes, no problem. Basically, though, she does say this, and besides, someone like him shouldn't have never been in this situation. I just hope, basically, he never breaks. Which, basically, when Hestia sees this, she sees Freya sort of basically looking really upset about it, and then basically kind of seeing her gripping her cup a bit, which she just starts blinking, which Otar kind of notices it, and he's thinking, oh no, not another one. Here we go again. Moment. So basically Hestia goes like, Freya? She goes, huh? I know you're the goddess of beauty and all, but I don't think you should try to go after him. But she goes, wait, what do you mean go after him? It's basically Freya actually starting to blush a bit. Well, blushing a bit after this. Where she goes, yeah, I don't think he's your type, or you're his type. But she goes, Hestia, I don't have no feelings for him. She basically looks away, basically crosses her arms, which Hestia just has a chuckle at this, in which then Freya starts too. And so after that, she goes, I never expected that from you, Freya. Which Freya was like, me neither. Anyways, it feels good just to chat with normally with someone. Hestia would just nod, and basically was like, so, what do you else want to talk about? She goes, well, can you tell me the progression of basically how he is? I really don't know much. His progression seems to be a mystery. Which Hestia goes like, oh, you do not want to know how much... As then she gets a little bit, sad and darkened face. How much basically he has grown since... She looks up and saying, you know about it since you have to spy on him. She does not. He goes, 15 deaths. Why? She goes, please don't try to take him away. He would rather basically, I think he would rather basically fight and kill than basically leave or go to another familia. Which Freya would just blink, goes, how so? She would say, he only trusts me. Enough to basically lead to the point where I won't kick him out or basically abandon him. That's what he thinks all the other gods and goddesses would do to him. Which Freya is actually kind of basically not shocked, but very surprised that I would have that outlook. She was, wow, that's kind of a little bit weird, deranged, you could say. He goes, no, humans should be cautious. Yes, but that seems to be basically overcautious. And how would he know? Which Dixon has, he goes like, that's what I don't know. He knows things that he doesn't ever explain it. It's just that's what's the frustrating part about him. Which she would nod and he goes, well, at least let's talk, not basically as goddesses, but as normal people. Which Hestia would nod slowly. Meanwhile, though, Belle and Lily basically were in the dungeon while they were walking through it, which basically Lily goes like, Master Belle? Which Belle goes like, yeah, Lily? What's up? She goes, I heard from you basically about, Soul. Is he alright? Which basically Belle goes like, oh, well, yeah. He's fully healed now, and then he's probably back in the dungeons immediately. She basically would sigh in relief. She was like, you never told me what happened to him. Which, basically, Belle would just remember that scene and basically goes, I don't want to tell you. She goes, huh? What do you mean? He goes, it's something I don't want to remember, alright? I'm sorry, Lily. She goes, it's no problem, Master Belle. You don't have to tell me. Which, basically, Belle would just start walking as Lily's thinking, so, what happened to you? I mean, Master Belle basically looked that way, as Belle was thinking, I have to get stronger. I don't want to basically be left in the dust by the both of them. But, as then he basically remembers that image, he goes, I don't want basically Soul to keep on getting hurt. What happened to make him this badly injured? As meanwhile with basically Hephaestus, she basically just writing basically on papers, and then she kind of just remembers what she did. She was like, why? All of a sudden she goes, why did I write that on his basically sword? Those runes. Why did I make sure basically his sword will basically level up, well, keep getting stronger with him? I only basically helped Hestia with that, but now I just made it for him? I mean, he made the blade and all, but still. That's just basically wrong to do. It's basically the same reason for, in canon. I kind of remember basically for saying it can ruin her reputation, but which, though, she basically then remembers what basically, when Hestia was holding on to basically Hephaestus and, crying basically of what happened. Basically saying he's awake and all, and she didn't understand what was going on until then, and then, basically she would basically kind of basically grab her shirt, basically, gripping it really tightly, basically, when she remembers that, and she goes, I don't want him to die like that, but he keeps on coming back, and that's good and all, but how much can he handle before he goes crazy? I just need to stop work and get my mind off of it. Maybe I'll go for a walk. So she gets up and will leave her office. Now, meanwhile with me, basically, I'm, killing basically final monster, which I'm like, floor 13. They got really easy down here. I can probably get no more experience from them. Not much. That's what happens when basically your stats are only 3,000 range. Even though you're level 1. I could probably go down further, but I want to basically risk it. For right now, at least. But your stats also probably increase too. Though we probably have to get her level up after she kills basically a higher ranking monster. Probably level 2 Minotaurs would do. Well, doesn't really matter. Got basically what I need. I need basically bigger bags. Maybe I should just start basically bring down like 2 packs, 2 bags full. Yeah, that'll do. Maybe a supporter would, as in basically I would kind of basically have an image of how a supporter basically react if I died. As I shake my head like, no, bad idea. I don't want no one to know I can come back from death. That'll be bad. Basically all the other gods would come after me. Well, gods and goddesses. And I don't even know if I can even kill gods. But if I can, then I'm a threat to basically this world, their system. As then I start traveling upwards, back to basically to the other floors, basically to where the 7th and 8th is, where Belle will face the Minotaur. Now, what happens is very simple. Well, probably, yeah, 7th, 8th, because it looked like it. So basically now, meanwhile of Hades. Hades is just sighing and be like, he basically is getting stronger quicker, but the enemies are going to get way too much powerful and he's going to get hurt. I can't just have him keep dying basically over and over again. He needs to have a healing item, but that healing aura will require a little bit of time. It'll take basically a little bit of while for it to heal. Basically though, as then he remembers an item from Dark Souls, the main thing of it that heals is called the Estent Flask. But then he remembers basically the blood basically from Bloodborne that basically the hunter used that basically heals them. Then he remembers basically the Gorg that basically Sekiro drank from, along with basically that basically glowing light that basically the Revenants did. And Eliza P. Cord that basically crushes it and gives you more basically life. Well, cell. And then even basically the Estent, well, the version of Estence basically in, well, Elden Ring. But but Demon Souls had grass, which he basically just smirks and he goes like, well, I can't basically have the dungeon created because basically then it'll be more, well, be more of a crystal drop. I need it to basically to be an actual living creature. So, basically Hades gets off from his throne and walks down and finds, well, basically an actual, basically essence flask. Well, shape of it at least. He goes, this will do. This will do nicely. And then we can create some monsters that will help increase it. No shards, but we can call them shard beads. Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea. So, as Hades basically will hold it, start basically using some, well, of his basically godly power, start creating a beast, basically of the, well, Tauros demon, and then basically, I need to look at the name just to make sure. Okay, everyone, I gotta eat my dinner. While I was looking up basically the name of who I was talking about, I have to basically, my dad called saying dinner was ready, so give me a minute. Okay, I'm back. It was a quick thing, but anyways, so the basically, Bloodborne, how there's that when you basically went to, well, a grave site, well, not a grave site, more like basically place full of, graveyard, and there's basically character full Father Gatchowitz. Probably said the name wrong. It's basically his second form, well, his second boss form. Alright. So basically, the Tauros demon on the bridge, basically with a big giant axe. Hold up. Okay, so I was saying Tauros demon and Father Gatchow's second form, which is a werewolf, basically merge together. Basically, what is going to be filled into that is, well, basically, while basically the body's being created with his power and such, the basic essence is being filled with basically. To be fair, we don't know what essence is. It just basically is like a yellow liquid. So I want to say it's not basically God's blood or a God's blood. I'm saying it's basically a fruit in the underworld. Give me a minute, got something stuck in my teeth. Alright. Okay, so, yeah. So Hades would go over to this fruit that he would have been growing. He'll just sigh and be like, well, I was basically growing this plant for just as a hobby, and taking care of it. But now I need its fruit. So, as basically he takes the fruit and such, and would basically, basically crush the fruit, basically turn it into a liquid, and then add in basically, his blood into it. Since basically he would decide the only thing I hate about these fruits, if you want to basically not have them kill you, you have to basically put some blood into it. Depending on who it is. If it's humans, and their blood goes into it, it will work as a poison. But a god's or goddess's blood would basically make it as a healing potion. Instantaneous one. So, yeah. So basically, after it's basically, probably, basically mixed, it starts glowing yellow, and so then he'll basically go over to this basically creation of his, the Taurus wolf, I would call it. Funny name, haha. Cringe too, but anyways. And basically he'll put it basically inside of its chest, as the wound the area that was open will close up, as then basically also the eyes of the Taurus wolf, werewolf would open, as he was now that my creation. You probably do not know the reason why. It may sound cruel, but I basically put your heart as basically an item that basically the person who I brought here to, entertain me will need. That said item. And I would like for him to basically have a test by you. And he will attain this. Maybe I should also give him something. Something from... And then he would think of it, and he'll smirk. He goes, ah, yes. The world of Code Vein. Those, different types of clothing. And then he'll go over somewhere, and he'll find basically the cloak that would go over someone's arm, shoulder, basically. Then a jacket. Basically a trench coat. Then another type of jacket. Basically. And then basically this will do. I'll have to basically change the designs a bit. So, basically a while later, they change and basically all into one, and then basically it was now, the more he uses these, he'll also have the ability to level this up, since he's learned how to basically forge. He basically can use some items of monster drops to actually forge this into a better one. Well, better equipment-wise. Enough monster parts will level it up. And then change. So yeah. So, basically, after that, he basically will put it I'll put it near the monster's shoulder, and then also just disappear. It was now, it will appear basically after you die. As it just looks at basically Hades a little bit upset, and then basically Hades, will just look at it with sympathy. It goes I'm sorry for my creation. I know it's cruel of me. But, fear not. Basically, then all of a sudden, basically a little body that looks exactly like it, but smaller. As soon as you die, you'll come back to this new one. As then basically holds it up, as then it just looks at Hades, and then Hades could tell it actually is happy, because it's wagging its tail. He goes now, go use basically this pathway, as then it just opens. This will take you up to the basically 7th to 8th floor. You'll sense him basically nearby. And then basically it nods and goes through. So, on my way up, basically I would ask Biru if basically she knows her stats yet. She goes, I will not know my stats until I get until we leave the dungeon. Which I'm oh great. Alright then. No attacking monsters for now. Got enough basically magic cores that we need. Where she goes, yes, basically, well, yes, my liege. So yeah. So basically, when we get up, basically though, I would basically kind of begin to the, I think, 8th and 7th floor, well, the 8th floor, I think, and then I'm looking around, and I'm like, because I would say, like, no monsters, but one on site, I'm like, oh, no, 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 I forgot! Which basically, Beer was like, my liege, what's wrong? He goes like, the Minotaur! Crap! Belle's not ready for that yet! As I basically just start running basically into where I'm using basically my, well, the passive ability basically I have of always seeing where the monsters are in my mini-map in my head. So I'm running towards it, and then all of a sudden I just hear something. As I stop and I hear something cracking from the wall. As I basically immediately take out the dagger and then see like the katana. As I'm like, okay, a new monster appearing here? Crap. As yeah, it's not just like I said, like, come out of the wall and then jumps out. No, it's full on bashes through, basically roaring at me. I'm like, my eyes widen, and then all of a sudden, I have flashes of basically a Tauros demon and Father Gashowitz, second form, and I'm like, oh, you have to be kidding me, I say in my head. As it just bashed me from me to side. As I hit the wall, I'm like, ah, okay, I know I shouldn't feel that, but that hurts a bit. Ugh. As I'm looking at the armor while in my clothing, and I'm basically seeing no damage to it, I'm like, at least the armor's good. Now then, as I look up and I see it, I'm like, there's another beast I need to kill. So, I immediately get up as Biro says, my liege, let me come out. I'm like, no, Biro. This thing may be a lot stronger than you. Faster, no. Stronger, yes. So, I can handle it. Besides, this is a good way for me to test out what I can do. She goes, yes, my liege. So, basically, as the Tauros werewolf looks at me, growling, I'm just looking at it, smirking underneath my, basically, mask. I'm like, I just tell it to, bring it on motion. As it just roars at me, just, runs towards me. Claws basically swipe, dodge, basically, then all of a sudden parry, basically, with the katana, swipe at it. Basically, this goes, that kind of goes on a bit. It basically did a feint, grab me, threw me, spin in midair, basically jump off the wall, slashing at it, basically cutting it. As I'm basically starting to get cut a bit, basically, in, well, some of my non-protected area. Basically, some, basically, scratches on my cheek and such. And, well, but the armor was basically, covering chitin to make it stronger, but not the scarf, so I basically did get a scratch on my neck, too, and such. And basically, well, not much basically damage is going on with me. Well, I basically cut it basically plenty of times, which I'm just smirking, as in all of a sudden, I see basically golden blood, which I'm thinking, wait, God, is that the basically blood of the gods? No. And then all of a sudden the wounds are healing, and the blood's gone. I'm like, it can heal? So basically, I immediately put away the dagger, basically take out basically two of my throwing knives, basically throw at it immediately because it was rushing me. It basically, tanked it, basically blocking his arms, and immediately me, grabbing out basically my Hades, basically pistol with the spirit gun bullets in it. As basically right when it swipes, it doesn't see until I say, checkmate. And basically, shoot. That power to stun it. Me. Basically combining basically fire into my basically prosthetic arm, and then doing the visceral attack. Basically, but piercing up to where basically grabbing the heart of it, which I was actually kind of shocked because I was trying to grab the core, which I'm thinking, wait, a heart? But this doesn't. Never mind. As I just basically do the visceral attack and finish it by ripping it out. As just then, basically I see, it's an essence flask, which I'm like, what the? They even seem basically like attachments to it, as basically it's, the Tauros werewolf was looking at me trying to put his hands forward, as I immediately cut off basically with my katana, those attachments to it, as then it just dies and starts to basically fade away. As in those basically attachments to it, the veins of it, sort of disappear, only leave the essence flask. And then I see, basically the freaking guard. Well, not the guard, basically the cloak that goes over. Imagine Ezio. basically Assassin's Creed 2. Basically, it goes over and such. So yeah, that type of thing. And also think if you ever play Code Vein, then that. As I'm like, huh. As then before anything else could happen, a note appears, I catch it. It basically would then say this. Congratulations, you have passed my little challenge. Now, I wanted to basically, well, as I say, congratulate you, and I thought you deserve basically a reward. This is an essence flask, so you already know about it, but it can heal you and others, so do not worry. And I thought I'd give you a little bit of a reward if you pass besides this. This is from Code Vein. Basically, it works exactly the same way. You basically get something covering your arm and turn it into a claw, or in the next thing you get two heads, basically from random, the arms of the jacket, and they will attack. Heck, even basically able to put spikes on the ground and they will come up piercing your enemies, tail, those basically, guards that will help you. There's basically, you have to level up constantly to get them to it. Say like level 1, basically will turn into the one with the arms of the jacket will turn into basically the heads and attack. Then basically the next one will become the trench coat with basically a scorpion-like tail. The other ones basically will be the one where basically the spikes will come out of the ground as the final thing. I think basically, I'll leave that as a prize. But congratulations, Soul Kurosaki, for passing the test. Good job for you. As I've just basically then seen it go on fire, and I'm like, I hate that goddess / god, whatever. Sounds like they're just mocking me. As I basically kind of get the ping on basically my, mental map. I'm like, crap, Bell! I immediately just grab it, put that flags to the side, basically my outfit, and just start running. Give me a minute, everyone. So, basically, while I'm running, meanwhile with Bell, everything was going to cannon. The Minotaur, though, was a lot tougher this time. He's able to do everything the same, but he's a little bit more beat up than what he was in canon. Now, when Eyes basically comes and saves him, Bell does his thing, like in the anime and manga, saying he's not going to be saved by Eyes Wallenstein anymore, and then he'll face the Minotaur, by himself. Now, though, everyone's basically mocking, Bell and such, laughing. Everyone's being surprised he's doing pretty good. But then, after basically Bell uses the firebolt, instead to make a couple of shots to make smoke screen, the Minotaur gets a little bit faster than what Bell could handle. Which they're like, what the? As basically Finn does say out loud, basically Goddess Loki is right. The monsters are getting stronger. And then also hit Bell, sending him flying. As basically Bete is like, looks like we got to. As before they can even say anything, basically, I saw Bell, I'm coming and running, I saw Bell getting hit. As that's when my eyes technically glow red a bit, which Freya was basically watching, even though she was technically, talking to Hestia when I was talking about it. Things have happened, things has passed, which Hestia has left to go do her job at, Hephaestus for basically, shop. And now she's watching, which she was basically praising Belle as such, doing that whole entire interaction, saying what she would do in the anime, and also she's being very surprised that Belle was able to, do this, and then basically all of a sudden when the Minotaur happens, she's like, basically, kind of a little bit down, a little bit upset by, but he kind of basically lasts a little bit longer, but then she remembers that the monsters are growing stronger, which she then basically kind of oh no moment. Because if the monsters basically getting stronger, Belle technically could die. Then she kind of thinks about what Hestia, since she just started a friendship with her, and then basically what pops in her head is me, basically, what would be my reaction to it. Which, she basically just had this look of basically horror for some reason, dread, and basically, hits her heart. She's like, no, I was such an idiot. How could I? Before she can even say anything more, she basically just sees basically Belle about to be hit, and then all of a sudden, someone blocking the strike. Now, what everyone else sees basically in the dungeon, basically a stream, basically just someone moving really quickly past them. basically run past. His eyes was the only one able to see, basically glowing red. Coming from the eyes, as her eyes widen, as that's when basically I take out my sword called Witcher, and basically blocking the Minotaur strike from Bell as he's looking up, basically nearly unconscious, you could say. Which all he hears me goes like, "Come on, Bell, you taking a nap on me? What did I tell you about basically being aware in the dungeon?" As Bell's like, "That voice, it's a soul." He's saying this in his head. I'm like, "If you're gonna take a little rest, then I'll take care of this ugly beast." As, he can hear me grunting a bit, as I'm just thinking, this thing really is basically strong. As, basically, though, I suddenly, push up the blade, kick, jump over the air, and then kicking the Minotaur in the chin, sending it flying a bit, as it will basically slide on the ground as soon as it hits it, and then immediately gets up. Which that just shocked everyone as it just landed. I'm like, basically I'm thinking I had to put a lot of strength into that kick. Even had to basically use a little bit of fire to boost myself. Which, basically eyes and, hold up. Yeah, Rivia and Finn basically saw those little flicker of flames. As, they basically both think he can use magic without saying any chant like him. But then Rivia was thinking, but he was able to use it in a different way than us. Interesting. Basically, Betty's like, who the heck is this? And wait, that's the guy. Which, basically, Finn, Tona? No, hold up. Names. Tiana and Tiona. Basically, Tiana would say, "What do you mean? That's the rumor I heard about. A guy basically with a prosthetic arm. How the heck is he here? I heard he was basically badly injured." Which, basically, Tiona says, "But he seems perfectly fine." As basically, Eyes is just looking straight ahead with Finn and Rivia. And basically, I was just thinking, he's here? But he's probably still injured. As the beast is just, we do go to, basically the beast just looking at me, I'm looking at it. Basically, though, I'm basically saying in my head, I can't let Bell die. I can't. If he dies, then there's nothing basically for him to come back to. Because he just stays dead. Me, I can come back. I can handle, basically keep coming back. So, I guess I'm just gonna have to let loose a bit. Which is, did what I did basically when I faced Biru. I don't care what they basically think of me. As basically what happens is, though, Finn, Rivia, technically the rest of the Loki family that's watching, including basically Lily, who's basically now waking up, seeing it, as basically they just see some of my eyes start to glow, basically a little bit brighter, as like, I don't care. This beast needs to be slain. Bell can basically level up basically by defeating something a little bit more easy for him. As I'm about basically to go in and strike, as I hear Bell goes like, "Hunter, no! I'm not gonna let you fight it alone." As he's getting up slowly, as I look back, and he basically sees my eyes glowing, as I can see the look of determination in his eyes. And I'm basically just thinking, he can barely stand, and yet he's still getting up. What's pushing you, Bell? Is it basically Wallenstein? Trying to impress a girl. Not good for you, huh? For some reason, I basically feel what was gonna happen. The same feeling I had, basically now is being slowly disappearing. Basically, and then all of a sudden, basically now I feel basically a sense of basically a little bit more another feeling. Basically, pride for Bell, and now basically determination to not just slay the beast, but to keep Belle alive no matter what. Which, basically, Freya's eyes in shock as she's basically seen, basically a true fire being lit. Basically an intense flame basically coming from my whole entire body. basically basically overshadowing the my dark soul, basically. Basically making it aware, basically, it's too bright to even look, and yet she can basically see it. Well, basically still see the fight. I'm like, Belle, if you can't keep up, then basically run. It's not basically bad to stay alive by fleeing. Which Belle's gonna basically stumble over, but then start walking, a little bit better now. He goes like, I ain't running. Besides, wait, would you run away? Which I just chuckle, and I'm like, at this point, I don't think it's in my nature to run anymore. Which Belle just has a slight chuckle at that. As I'm like, then I say, can you really keep up? Which Belle just kind of basically take a deep breath in, and Alan goes like, there's only one way we can see. Which I just nod. I'm like, then keep up. As I just start running forward, basically. As Belle is running with me. Basically, Belle can see the difference in basically speed is vast. But basically, he's basically lagging behind. As I immediately take out basically my Hades pistol and start basically shooting spirit bullets. Basically, a little bit normal, well, a little bit bigger. Basically, they're a little bit slower, medium size, but still fast enough for the Minotaur to at least get hit a couple of times while dodging. Basically, making it disappear, and well, taking out basically the katana and start dual wielding basically my katana and my Witcher sword. As everyone's like, what the? As basically immediately when the Minotaur tries to strike, me blocking it, basically overhead strike with basically both of my swords. As Belle jumps over and she yells, as fire bolt! Oh, basically over us and yelling that as it's hitting the Minotaur. Me then basically moving it away to the side. As the Minotaur's blade hits the ground, I start slashing at it, making 2 slash marks into the body of it. As basically Belle just, basically gets down and attack, basically with his dagger and such, which basically now we're done with double teaming it, which is going down very quickly. Because with my speed and Belle's basically long range attacks, off mine, keeping the Minotaur basically off balance, because it's being attacked by 2 different people, this fight goes down a little bit differently, a little bit more easy for Belle. Since I'm the one who's being the most dangerous threat at the time, it basically would, grab me and basically throw me away. As I would use them, as I'm basically getting thrown, I would then shoot out basically the grappling hook as it hits around one of the Minotaur's horns, and basically, still holding basically my katana, basically, de-summon basically put the Witcher sword back in my back, and I yell out to Belle, get out of the way, Belle! As he basically sees my whole entire arm, my right arm on fire, as he would jump back and yell out, fire bolt, as it would get the Minotaur's attention a bit, while I'm getting basically at least medium rage, and I yell out, yes, I'm making an anime reference because I can. This is basically to Ace from One Piece. I don't know the name, the move, or the character, or basically the anime in general, that was owned by the owner of it, and the anime company, but anyways, as I yell out, fire fist! As I launch basically, fire basically in the shape of a fist, hitting the Minotaur, basically, as that shocked everyone, which, that basically, I was saying, what the? Basically, Betty's like, that can't be real! Which reveals this, impossible. Finn just says interesting, while Tiana and Tiana and Tiane, Tiane, basically are just basically surprised by this. As when I basically land one near it, basically slash out with the katana, and then basically all of a sudden do a quick draw basically on the Witcher's sword, as basically this will hit, basically making 2 more slash marks onto the Minotaur, as Belle basically, basically trying to come up as the Minotaur will hit me, basically send me flying again, but I would hit the wall with just a spike, which basically Belle knows I'm not going to get hurt, but everyone else think I am, as then all of a sudden, basically when the Minotaur swings at Belle, he blocks it, basically with the dagger the dagger basically that's not basically Hestia's blade, as then basically it would try to hit him with the other arm, which basically then Belle would cut off the Minotaur's arm, basically the one that's holding basically the great sword, As that's when, well, that scene what happened in canon. When Belle's basically, the greatsword gets destroyed. Belle does turn around it, basically stabbing the Minotaur with its Hestia blade, and fire a bolt. It basically will have enough strength to try to hit Belle. Me immediately already have basically I'm still able to be conscious, still have basically a bullet, and basically from the spirit bullet, as in something gets instantly reloaded, as I'm like, let's try this. New technique. Combination move. I'm thinking in my head, Hestia's flame, combined with spirit gun. Spirit flame bullet. That's when I shoot it. Basically, everyone just seems like a quick moving, fast beam of light with flames going around it. As that's when it hits the Minotaur in the face, and then it just looks at me and just sees basically, one glowing eye at the one eye that's glowing a bit, and you can tell basically, it knows basically my eye saying we win. As then Belle yells out, screams out, fire a bolt, and then the Minotaur just blows up. So, after that, I get up and I'm just like, we did it. Put away basically the, Hades' gun and basically walks over to Belle. Lily will run over, not Master Belle and such. And, well, basically, she will hold him as, basically though, Bete, I hear, will yell out saying exactly the same thing, as basically this time, since I'm there, Rivia was saying we can't do that since, and that person's here, goes like, he won't know. He's basically yelling it, and I'm basically saying, as it happened to Canis, I'm not stopping, as then basically, to be fair, since the monster's getting stronger, Belle's rapid growth is probably at least one S rank, double S rank. The other S's. So yeah, the agility probably, which that would just shot them all. As then I basically get to Lily, I just pat her head. She looks up. She was like, but thank you for saving us, and thank you for saving me. She basically would bow, and I just basically wave my hand away. And that's when something happens. Something like a crack is appearing, which I immediately turn to the around with everyone else, but it's not a crack like an actual, in the wall, but like basically suddenly like black, seems like black mist is appearing from this crack. As in basically a hole basically basically like a black abyss appears. I'm thinking, wait, no. Why is this here? Is it what I think it is? And then basically all of a sudden something's walking out of it. Basically like, how should I say? Sound like the sound of basically just armor basically you can hear. As they're walking out and dragging something. As when it comes out, basically the black abyss portal, all of a sudden my eyes widen in shock. As I'm like, a Taurus? I'm just thinking in my head, which Beerus was saying, my liege, we need to get out of here. Which I basically just look at it, I'm like, and I don't even hear Beerus, I'm really thinking to myself, how? But Taurus is from the Dark Souls universe. How is he even here? Then I basically remember, basically the Abyss. As I'm thinking, how did Abyss get here? Meanwhile, Hades was watching. He was amazed by everything what I was able to do. But now this, he basically just stands up immediately and goes like, what the? Why is that here? Which basically the dungeon will say, what is wrong, Hades? He goes like, the Abyss. How did it get here? How? And then his eyes wide, he goes like, I brought it here. I brought the Abyss here. It's after him. Which basically again a message to people like, what do you mean the Abyss is here? It was like, and then he's talking about me. Soul Kurosaki is here, and now the Abyss is after him. Which they ask, the dungeon will ask why. He goes, I only basically can come up with that because he's the undead. The one basically who will link the fire from the first game of it. And then the one basically who will keep the fire going. So does that mean does that mean he has basically the first flame in him? Or he is the first flame? As basically Freya can't understand this. She basically sees a pure, basically dark soul, like an abyss, is there. As in me, basically, she was seeing, I'm kind of in shock. As no hesitation, eyes will run basically forward, which I didn't notice until she gets near Artorias. I'm like, and I yell out, "You fool! Get out of there!" Which that would shock everyone. Which then, basically, eyes will try to strike basically Artorias very quickly, but he will use his shield, and then basically when her final strike, he'll parry it, and basically then kick her away, which she'll would basically not go jump backwards, but fly backwards, and then she will do a backflip and land. She then will not see Artorias, but then look up a bit, and she would see him basically in the air, as then he basically tries to slam his sword basically to kill her, as she's blocking with her sword, but the fact is, though, she basically cannot withstand the weight of it, so her whole entire body goes into the ground a bit, which everyone is shocked, as I just tell Lily, get him out of here. Now. Which she recognizes my voice, she goes, wait, so, as I don't hesitate, I just run in, basically full on, basically drawing the Witcher's sword out, and immediately basically prosthetic armor on fire, basically, and literally basically having a ball of fire just launch it basically forward, hitting Artorias. Basically, as Artorias looks over and he goes, "You are him." As basically it sounds like an echoey, not demonic, but basically echoey voice. As I never heard Artorias speak, but I have a feeling that's not him. So I'm basically saying, "Yeah, I'm here. Come on." As Artorias basically would, lift up the sword a bit, and then basically try to slam down. As I immediately take out basically the Hades, and then gun basically then shoot out 3 spirit gun bullets. As it hits Artorias, basically staggering him a bit. As then I just jump forward and then punch Artorias basically with a fire punch, basically sending him flying. Which eyes basically is in shock as I look at her, my eye are glowing. I just tell her, "Get out of here. You're gonna be in my way." As her eyes widen, she goes, "You cannot defeat him. You're still only..." As I immediately basically start to get annoyed and, I released Bloodlust for the first time, I think, in a while. Since I basically was probably releasing a small amount of it, this is still me unknowingly releasing it, but I basically feel that feeling again. I'm like, wait, is this... Because I see the fear, and I see eyes is eyes. Trying to say that 3 times fast. Eyes Wallenstein's eyes, and then I kind of realize I'm releasing Bloodlust. This can be a useful skill if basically Soul 11 never taught me anything. As she would just nod and just get out of here, start running. As I said, just look at Artorias. I'm like, Artorias, or is the Abyss talking? Which I would just hear a chuckle like, "So, you can tell." He was like, "You are the Abyss." As I'm just holding out my blade towards it, I'm like, "Why are you here?" As it immediately, almost in my prosthetic arm, basically produces the shield. And I just hear the Abyss just saying, "We are here to end you. You hold the flame." I'm like, "The flame? I'm not from Dark Souls. I'm not from your world. I can't even go to it." He goes, "It does not matter. You are a problem. You can link the fire again." Basically, if you guys can't hear me, but I'm just saying, I'm basically the one who holds the flame. I can link the fire again. I'm not even from this world, I just told it, but yeah. So, as I'm just very confused and such, as basically, it then, saying, "And we are using this warrior's body to kill you. To kill you and end you, so you will not be a problem in the future." Which I'm like, "You can try, but I'll keep coming back." But then I realized, crap, I didn't put down anything. And I think basically, I think they could die. Yeah, I did put it down on the 7th floor. There's no basically for me to come back. I didn't rest at it. The only one I rest at is basically the one on top. Damn it. I should have basically rest at it. But I didn't know this was gonna happen. So, I basically get into a ready stance, basically as Artorias is basically, or should I say the Abyssal basically runs towards me, basically, basically then trying to strike me, blocking with the shield, and then basically kicking the thing, kicking him away and such, which basically doesn't go far, as then basically, I just hear basically kind of like howling, as then basically a black mist is starting to go around it. I'm like, crap! I immediately basically, summon out basically Hades, gun again, shoot a 3 spirit bullets, spirit gun bullets, as it hits him, basically not stun him this time because he fully basically did it. I'm thinking, crap. As then it basically would, basically jump forward and try to attack me, basically by spinning mid-air, as then basically I'm blocking with the shield and such, but he then uses its shield to hit me, basically stunning me a bit, and then basically striking me in the gut, basically piercing the armor, which I'm thinking, crap, this is chitin. Pierce basically, armor basically, skin, chitin, was strong enough, but then I remember, this is a boss, a DLC boss, and a warrior basically who fought many battles. I can't. So the strength of it is stronger than me and my armor. And which everyone is shocked by this. They basically were running, but Bete didn't want to run and listen to some newbie. So he came back, and that's when they basically see me getting basically stunned and then strike. And then I'm like, in my head, I really can't basically hold back. It's like I'm fighting Biru again. I guess I have to let loose. As Heise's having some flashbacks of basically her, of her past, but this time, all of a sudden, basically, I'm like, the Abyss is laughing because it knows basically the undead can come back, but it thinks because because I'm different, basically striking me basically with the Abyss around the sword would kill me, but no, I suddenly just grab basically the wrist of basically a Taurus's body, as it goes, what? As on all of a sudden I look up, and then immediately basically headbutt it, sending basically the whole entire, Taurus body flying a bit. Not a bit, flying just in general, as the blade gets ripped out of me too, which I'm like thinking, that hurts a lot. As I go time to test out this thing can actually heal me, which everyone's just shocked. I'm basically walking, basically just take out some type of flask, as then all of a sudden when I drink it, some light glow comes around me, and basically it looks like the wound basically is gone, and I'm like, that's better. Because I'm like, but my armor though, my armor's not damaged? But as I notice his magical runes are basically on the armor, which I'm just smirking, I'm like, I owe you a lot, Festus. So then I look at Torius, or the Abyss of Torius, and he goes, how? That was supposed to kill you and extinguish your flame! As I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but here's the thing. I ain't no ordinary, basically, undead. Heck, I'm not even that. I'm someone who was put here, and I'm gonna end you. Which he says, no, you won't! Basically starts running at me as I run towards it. Basically each blade getting, strike, hitting each other, basically blocking one of them, basically trying to strike him, basically Abyss of Taurus basically blocking him with his shield, me basically then just, all of a sudden when it tries to strike me, I basically jump back, but then just, have fire in my hand and shoots it off, basically, and then the other hand basically spirit gun bullet, and then shoot at it. Basically, hitting basically the whole entire, shield, basically sent it flank because it was basically a large one. Then me immediately running basically towards it as soon as I land, basically increasing my speed with activate my Revenant speed. And then basically using my Witcher sword to slice off of the hand that Torius was holding the sword in, so it's right one. And then immediately in midair, grabbing it with my left, spinning it around, and then basically stabbing at Torius's body, Abyssal Torius's body, with his own sword. But I added flame to it. And basically, kind of just thinking, if it can hold the abyss on it, why not the flames? But this time, the flames go blue, which everyone was in shock by, as when I stab basically at Torius's body, Abyssal Torius, I hear it say, no, I'll keep sending creatures after you. I'll not stop until I end you. I will not let the flame win, and the world will turn to darkness. The age of fire will end. As I'm like, I told you, I'm not from your world, but keep coming at me. I won't die. I'll keep coming back, and if I can find you, Abyss. As then basically, it uses basically a Taurus's body to look at me. It does see basically the glowing eyes, but I can see fire and something else behind it. And it goes like, and I will end you. This is a warning. No, a promise. You will face my wrath, like the unknown god or goddess that sent me here. As basically it'll have a chuckle that sounds hollowed, as I rip out the sword of basically I use, as then all of a sudden just turns into flames, blue. As basically while the body basically is disappearing and such, the abyss shield drops. As I just sigh, be like, it's over. How many souls did I get? Okay, so let me just do some things real quick. Okay, so here's the thing. I did some calculations, and we're talking souls wise. Since I basically was killing for 12 to 13, I kind of made it where I killed 60 basically monsters down there. But here's the thing: with floor 12 and 13, that's the middle floors, and when the monsters are a little bit stronger, and there's a lot more. So I could have basically got a little bit more, probably over 100 each floor, but I decided to combine it all together, just so I don't basically overstat myself. But because I have a Torius, I have basically over 10,000 souls from him, and now I have 43,000 and 43,000, then 0, then 14. So yeah, I can basically level up a lot. So when I pick it up, I basically get a prompt basically saying Essence of Artorias, which I'm like, what the? As nothing, not even after I couldn't even say anything else, as all of a sudden I go unconscious. Everyone is shocked and just yell out, basically Hunter, Eyes does. Everyone's in basically Bete is in shock by what I was able to do. But that's in fact basically sort of like a hook, not hook, but basically some string that was wrapped around it and such, and basically it's nothing spilling out of it, nothing left it. So yeah, just want to point that out. So basically though, it basically is gonna reset after every bonfire or grace or whatever, just something I basically need to go to that's normally from the Dark Souls or Bloodborne system, basically the Souls-like game systems, refilling itself. So yeah, as basically Hades, was watching it, he just sighs in relief. But he says, and then he'll say this, it seems basically my entertainment just got a little bit more interesting, and he had 2 new weapons. Or should I say, a shield and a new weapon. The sword of Artorias. The Abyss sword. It may be basically the corrupt version of it, but it's still strong. And then, the shield of the Abyss. Good equipment for his basically journey. But yeah, meanwhile in my head, as all of a sudden I'm waking up, but this time there's a bonfire there. Basically, I'm like, ugh. And I see something, a little thing glowing, curled up in a ball, but I don't basically notice it right away. But I notice it, but I don't say nothing about it because I hear one voice goes, "Undead. You have done well to defeat Artorias. I thank you for that." And then I hear another voice goes, "Ashen One, you truly are amazing. Fighting someone way basically stronger than you and come out like that. You have gained skills in this new world." As I basically look over to basically both Dark Souls 1 gate and Dark Souls 3, the Soul of Cinder comes out. And then basically Gwyn, basically not hollowified, but Gwyn himself comes out. As I'm like, wait, Gwyn? And the Soul of Cinder? You're here. Which Gwyn says, "Yes, but I am here. I want to commend you for what you've done." And basically, it's the Soul of Cinder says, "Yes, you have basically proven yourself to be a fine warrior. Godfrey was right. But we did not think that because you have not faced truly anything from our worlds." Which, I just take a gulp, I'm like, why are you guys here? To, what, say something saying I shouldn't have basically even tried, I should have ran away? Which, basically, Gwyn would not know. The Soul of Cinder says, "No. You did what you thought was right. But we are here to explain some things about this bonfire." Which, basically, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, what about it? As Gwyn would say, "This probably is due to basically this unknown god or goddess that summoned you here, and this is technically the part of the consequences without them knowing what they have done to this world that you are in, and to yourself." Which I'm like, what do you mean? Is it about the Abyss? Which basically they will both nod, as Gwyn would just go on and say yes. As, well, allow me to say it. As then he will go on and explain why the Abyss is after me now. And afterwards I'm like, so you're telling me this bonfire is technically all basically the flames, the fire that you and the others took, basically, took to become the powerful beings, godlike, from your basically worlds, to, become rulers, like Nito the Undead, that other lady that became that basically stupid demon boss that you had to kill, that little thing, one-shot in it. Oh, and don't let me get bad like Sid, the basically the freaking scaleless dragon. The Lord Souls. Which Gwyn would just nod. He goes, yes, this is the fire. The fire that basically all of that combined. Including the one that basically had the smallest flame. The one that basically had the dark soul. Which, basically, I'm just blinking and I just decide, so you mean to tell me that this bonfire is that combined all into one, basically only small due to what? As the Soul of Cinder will say, due to basically, if it did not become small, it would kill you. But you, how can I say, the fire itself, since you are the first to be in this world. And you will only be the one to ever hold this burden. Which I'm just blinking, and I would say, so you mean to tell me that I am, which basically they both nod. He goes, which I just say, great, so I am literally the first flame. And basically no one can take this flame. Which basically Gwyn would try to, but his hand passes right through it, saying, that is true. You are the only one that can ever wield this flame. As basically, the Soul of Cinder goes, now then, the second part of this flame. As then he will basically have, not a soul, but basically the figure of Artorias. basically, then I basically, would blink and was like, wait, that's the essence of Artorias. He goes, yes, it is. As in, he just lets it go, as in all of a sudden it turns into basically Artorias. He goes, ah, my head. Where am I? The only thing I remember was a undead, and wait, I died again. Well, I died to him, but the abyss, it took me. As he looks around, he sees Gwen. He goes, basically, my king. He basically bows, and basically Gwen will say, Artorias, arise. You've done well for your task to try to save Princess Dusk, but you failed. I do not blame you or am mad at you for that. Many years has passed since that time. He goes, yes, I remember. I lost myself to the abyss. I failed. I am deeply, basically sorry. But why am I here, if I may ask? Which then the soul of Cinder will say, for that, Artorias, you were defeated by someone. Someone that basically, well, he just looks all, tells him to look all around. When he does, basically he asks, why? As then he basically, the soul of Cinder would basically just touch basically Artorias' head, and since technically they're in my mind, see if they can show basically all the knowledge I know, which basically he goes, I see. Which I'm like, hold up. How is the essence of Artorias able to talk? Which, basically, the soul of Cinder is saying, that would do to be, well, a combination of things. But, someone told us that Sekiro would need more skills, and basically gain the memories and the essence of a strong enemy. It grants you basically abilities far beyond. Will even basically increase basically your, well, physical appearance slightly. It depends on basically the soul you take of basically what's strong. Though, this also could increase basically, well, the people around you maybe. There are so many things we do not know what this person says, but he was basically very determined on saying this will help you. Normally, basically, it would heal you after basically taking the essence, but it's working two ways of essence and memories. Which I'm just blinking, I'm like, wait, you said Sekiro? Which basically Gwen will nod. He goes, yes, this person said Sekiro would need it. Though he did say it only basically heal you one time in dire need. Basically, in a way where you die. But instead of fading, it will resurrect you. In a sense, it said, it would be like dragon rot. Like you consume the blood of the dragon, but this way, there's no dragon rot would appear. You will just come back, giving you a second chance at death. Which, I'm just like, I got the Sekiro mechanic of coming back. Which basically, the soul of Cinder, soul of Cinder, or the Cinder basically person, would nod along with Gwen. Basically, as Artorias will just blink, goes, is that my role now? Which Gwen will just nod, protect this boy. Well, protect this one, for he is the first flame in this world. He goes, I will, my king, and thank you for giving me this task for the final time. It goes, yes. Now, approach the flame. Which, basically, Artorias will nod. And what happens is, when he approaches it, the fire, or the basically bonfire, turns to a blaze as I have to cover my eyes. And that's when, basically, after it dies down, basically it's back to a bonfire, but it's a little bit more brighter and such. As then, basically, there's Artorias, basically in the wolf, basically, form. As I'm like, Sid? Not Sid. Well, I think I said Sid the Dragon. Probably got that wrong. Probably the wolf. I'm basically there's a dragon that's the scaleless dragon, so that's the one I was talking about. Anyways, so basically basically the soul of Cinder will say this: he will not disappear, but to recharge basically your resurrection, you will have to basically be at a bonfire, grace, lamp, or basically statue to refill yourself. This can be done multiple times, but it also would charge if you kill enemies. Which makes I would just nod slowly. Because now then, though, you also notice the little creature here, which basically points, which Gwen is pointing down to, is the little creature's in a ball. When I basically see basically it's moving its head, basically I would just see basically like a galaxy-like thing. Realizing basically there's also basically a weird little light ball where the eye should be, but there's nothing, just galaxy-like. And then I just see like a little puff of smoke, which I'm like, an Elden Beast. I have an Elden Beast inside of me! And then it just sounds like it's yawning. And then going back to sleep. Which I'm like, how do I have a tiny, yet adorable, dangerous creature inside of me? In my mind. Which basically Gwen and the Soul of Cinder will say, easy, Elden Ring. And also, this is how you're going to kill basically gods. So I'm like, so this thing is granting me the ability to kill gods. And the Soul of Cinder and Gwen would nod yes. But Gwen would add, but it will not grow any stronger. It will not grow in size. So I'm like, whew. In strength even. I'm like, okay, so it can never try to kill me. It goes, which basically the Soul Center goes, no, this is your pen. You could say you're familiar. But in actuality, this thing is just gonna grant you some things to Elden Ring. Which I'm like what? And then all of a sudden, just like hearing that, it just flies up, basically touching basically my right arm. Then all of a sudden, basically, I see a light appearing on my arm. As that light would go down, it basically giving the shape of the Elden Beast on it, and then it would fly back down and basically just go back, curl up in a ball. Which Gwen would say that. We were told that would basically grant you abilities. We do not know what, but I think it's the magic from that world. Which I'm like, oh great. More things I'm gonna have to learn. Which, yeah. So after that, I just sighed like, well, thank you, but you're not gonna tell me who was basically from the Sekiro universe that told me this about the bonfire, and basically me gain the. Wait, if I gain the basically the essence and the memories. Which basically, I would say, that means I also get the skills to wield the sword, the Abyss sword. Which Gwen and basically Soul Cinder would not. Because these will only work with basically a few basically things if you gain the weapons, or similar to the weapons. Use this knowledge well and train yourself. You have basically a task above anything else that I've ever known from an undead to ever have. And the Soul of Cinder would nod. He goes, this may even be a daunting task, even for an Ashen one. And then basically they put both of their hands on each on my side of my shoulder and be like, if you ever need any guidance, we will be here and help you. Which I'm like, thanks. Now, basically the Soul of Cinder says, now get going. You have to basically wake up. Which I will nod. And then I will fade away as they will then travel through basically their gates. As then I'll wake up, basically I'll see everyone basically looking at me, and basically I'll get, I'm kind of shaken off. I'm like, yep, that's gonna be a really, really troublesome thing sometimes. As basically eyes ask, are you alright? Which I just basically would just nod, get up, and then basically immediately have the shield and basically the sword disappear. And basically I look at Belle, which Lily is holding him, and take him. I'm like, let's go. Which she'll nod, as basically me and basically Belle and Lily would be traveling upwards, as basically Eyes will say, I'll basically accompany them. Do you guys don't mind? Which basically they'll nod no. Which, well, basically when Eyes leave, Betty's like, I can't believe it. Some rookie? How was he able to not be dead from that? No one was able to survive that. Which everyone else, Finn says, there's a lot more to him. And it's a good thing Eyes is going. She can report this to Loki. So, basically they hear that and nod. So what happens next is very simple. Basically we get up there. Basically Lily was quiet and such. basically, though, when we get up there, basically, Freya told Hestia right away. Hestia was running towards it when we get up. And she's basically seeing us. She basically like, Belle! Hunter! Basically, I'll just nod to her, and then she'll see, you also see Lily. She goes, oh, sorry, Lily. She goes, it's no problem, Goddess Hestia. And, well, Belle will be taken up to where he needs to go. Now then, though, Hades basically looked into it, and basically he just sighs again. He was like, I caused this world, I caused him trouble without even knowing the consequences of my actions. I need to tell Uranus, but I think he deserves to be level 2. He should have been a long time ago, but facing against 3 tough opponents, one more difficult than the other. Level 2, Soul Kurosaki, welcome. Your stats now will be basically a good 13 each. So, after that, but when Belle put it into basically a bed in Babel, me just like, good, I need a nap. As I just fall into a bed too, as Hestia would just ask Lily what happened, and she would tell basically Hestia what happened, which basically that would shock her, and look at me, and just sigh, and just saying, Soul, you're always getting into danger. And then she would just, put a hand on my forehead and such. And I just like, pizza, give me pizza. Which, basically, I think the 2 girls just start chuckling as Belle, as they will look at Belle next and such, and basically, Hestia will do her thing, saying her congratulations to Belle for having his very first adventure. And that's where we're going to leave it off. I'm going to make part 8 as soon as I can, because I do have an idea for the Jason Deku what if. I just need further into it. So yeah. So anyways, I'll see you guys later. Have a nice day, night, wherever you are. I'm probably making part 8 maybe tonight. So yeah. Bye.